Welcome to the presentation by John Worgan, featured in the Rocky Mountain Shipwrights November meeting.
Okay,
We'll add that up. Cool. John.
ready to go?
Yeah.
All right, I guess you can see it on the two sides here. Can you hear me okay?
Here's our new guy.
All right,
John.
thanks. FNG here. Yeah, Phil gave me this opportunity to do a presentation, and I found a lot of interest in it. Hope that the can be of some interest to you as well too, and I have some stories to tell about the stories. So this is I've titled it the final title, History and Mystery of Steam-Powered Ocean Liners and Why They Did Have Sails. Originally, when I talked to Phil a month ago, I had thought that I was going to be talking about Liberty ships. And so I learned a lot that what I wanted to talk about wasn't a Liberty ship. It was specifically some ocean liners. So with that, let's go to the next page. Okay. So this particular ship that I'm going to talk about today is the Kaiser Augusta Victoria. And it was first launched in 1905. It was built in the Worgan AG shipyard, which is now part of Poland, for the Hamburg America line. So it was originally built for cruising, for transporting people from across the Atlantic Ocean. It sailed from Hamburg, Germany, 1906 to Dover in England and France, and then to New York City. And its main connection for its transportation of passengers was between Hamburg, Germany, and New York City. This is who it was named after. She was the German Empress Augusta Victoria. The last voyage of this particular ship at that time was in 1914, and that was because that was the outbreak of World War I. And so from 1905 to 1904 to 1914, it was transporting passengers from Europe to America and back and forth. There's a little bit about the Hamburg America line. So this was one of the early cruise ship organizations before the war. The ship was surrendered in 1919 to Great Britain. So at the start of the war, it quit sailing because of World War I. And then in 1919, it was surrendered to England and then transferred to the United States. And she kept her name for the United States. Again, the Kaiser Augusta Victoria. And it was commissioned at Pollock, France, 1919. And Captain Frank Taylor Evans was in command. One of the things that brought me to this ship, and again, I had to learn more about this, it was actually a troop transport ship used by the United States to bring home soldiers from World War I. And the reason I ever came across this was because my great-grandfather fought in World War I, he and two of his brothers. And so this ship, I had found it when I was about 5 years ago doing some research about family and history like that, and found my grandfather's name listed on a ship's register, and it took me to this ship. I thought it was a Liberty ship. Mixed up things. The difference there being that the Liberty ships, and we were talking about those just a moment and is that the Liberty ships were purposely built by the hundreds, and Kaiser was a part of the Kaiser. He was a great developer, built dams, and put together a shipyard up in Northern California for the government. And what I learned about that is that those ships were mass-produced. People didn't think he could do it, but he built it like the Ford automobiles, built it in sections. But that was not the ship that I thought it was. So when Phil and I talked, I thought I was talking about that. This ship here was actually built in Germany, and it was built for a cruise line. So that's the history of that. But they used the ships in 1919. This particular ship made 5 trips, and that was the only year it made those trips. And then my great-grandfather was on one of those trips. After that, it was sold to the Cunard steamship company. Cunard was a really big ocean liner organization that I heard through the late 1800s and on, and then subsequently sold to the Canadian Pacific Lines, and they renamed it the Empress of Scotland. And so Canadian Pacific Steamship Company was organized from the late 1880s. They did continue on through World War II, and they were the largest operator of ocean liners. In this picture here, I don't know if it's the actual Kaiser Augusta Victoria, but it's the same style. It has 2 smokestacks and then 4 masts. It was refitted when the Canadian Pacific Line picked it up. It was refitted to carry 459 first-class passengers, 478 second-class, and 960 third-class. And at that same time, they converted it to fuel oil. She continued service between Canada and Europe, along with cruising during the winter months out of New York. And then her last voyage was in 1930 out of Southampton to Cherbourg and Quebec. And if I can, will I be able to play a video? I have a link to the video. I don't. This is just a YouTube video off the network. I have the link. I don't want. There's the link right there. I don't know if I can copy it, launch it. It's just a 2-minute. Oops. I will. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, there we go. So this ship had 2 steam engines and 2 twin screws. This is a rendering of it, a painting that someone did of the specific ship. It was 677 feet long. Her beam was 77.3 wide. Tonnage of 24,581. A registered tonnage of 14,847. Had 2 funnels, 4 masts, twin propellers, and an average speed of 18 knots. So here's what I discovered. So again, I was talking to Phil. I thought what I was talking about was a Liberty ship that my grandfather had come back on. Come to find out it was actually this cruise ship. And the question that I had when I was talking to Phil was, why does a steamship have sails? Because when I looked at this, I thought it had sails on it. Well, what I discovered, this is basic history about Robert Fulton building the original steam engine and steamship. The first ship for steam was delivered in 1816. Oh, is that it? Okay. Oh. That one's it right there. That one. That one's it. So this is just a brief video collection of the final version of the ship as it was known as the Empress of Scotland. So there it is, you can see the 2 smokestacks and then 4 masts. Inside what is fitted out as an ocean liner, which you can understand. What speed? 18. Not too often hearing anyone say clean oil burner anymore, right? Yeah. Yep. I have some. Whatever. This is a really nice ocean liner though for what it was. Final days. That's it on the video. I didn't find any photographs of it as it appeared when it was being used as a troop transport in 1919. So I'm curious about that. I want to find that. Going back to what I discovered. So steam propulsion for ships was in 1816 when the Navy started using it. Steam-powered ships were required to still have sails. So when we first started going to steam, the U.S. Navy said, no, you still got to have sails on it. And that was because either you couldn't get to a new coaling location because you were on an operation and you weren't sure where the coaling ships were because they had coaling ships as well, or just because of conditions of seas, it would take you out for a long time. And like any new technology, nobody trusts it, right? We're all video now. We were supposed to get rid of paper, but now we have paper and video. The Navy officially transitioned from sails to steam in the late 1800s. I couldn't find a more specific date for the U.S. Navy, but I did find a couple dates for the Royal Navy. The 1838 SS Archimedes was the first steamship to be driven by screw propellers, but it also had sails. The first British ship not to carry masts or sails was in 1871. So that was the first time that the British said, well, we'll take a chance, no sails. 1871. And commercial steamships regularly carried them and auxiliary sails into the 20th century. So these are the references I had. I found this on the Naval History and Heritage Command website. I was able to look up the stuff on the ship. Wikipedia, of course, there's all sorts of stuff out there. And then Cruise Line History is where I found that video. So the masts that are on that ship now, properly called the mast, wasn't because they were using for sails. I know at least 2 of them were rigged with, I think, and I'm learning terminology, so I'll learn a lot more from you guys. I think it was called a jib, and it was because they would use those masts and swing jibs out to load cargo into the ship. I don't know what the other 2 are for. But I'm still going to explore that. And what I hope to do is find someone who actually built a model of these somewhere along the lines, just to learn more about it, get some actual ship plans about it. So that's what I learned. My naivete of why did steamships have sails came to this, and then learning actually about the specific ship that my great-grandfather was on and confusing it with the Liberty ships, which is fascinating. Graham, was it? We were talking about that. Liberty ships and how many of those were made. So, but same idea. Yes.
This may sound weird, but I got a picture to prove it. One of the Worgans, the Pacific in 1940, one of the destroyers, U.S. destroyer, was running a little bit short on fuel oil. So they rigged the sucker for sail.
No kidding.
Yep. She made all of about 5.5 knots. Hey, better than sitting still.
Yeah.
Moving. Much better than rolling.
Oh, the other reason they used the masts was for communication with all the communication flags.
Yeah, signal flags, yeah.
Signal flags, yeah.
Which is another right the Navy's
Yeah.
lost.
Nowadays, cargo
Really?
We're finding out that even 2% of fuel saving goes a really long way. So if they're out on a big ocean and they're having big cargo, to put a little sail out there and get a little push if the wind is favorable.
Oh, makes
They're
sense.
saving lots and lots of money nowadays.
Makes sense.
So that's we're going back to why not using the free power that's over the ocean?
Yeah. The first ship I ever saw that had sails and steam was the USS Kearsarge, which I know Phil built a model of. It's a Civil War ship that I'm interested in. I think it was it a blockade runner?
It was, yeah, it was
Yeah.
the end of the war,
But it had both. It actually had
Turns out,
working sails. And
But so
steam.
did the USS Alabama. I mean CSS Alabama.
Oh.
It had steam and sails as well. The reason that it fell apart and sank in like 20 minutes off the coast of France was because the wind wasn't favorable and they didn't get the steam up fast enough coming out of port. And the Kearsarge waited for him out there at the edge of the port and took their Dahlgren cannons and blew them away. And apparently that battle was over in like 20 minutes. So.
The battle between ironclads, Monitor and Merrimack? No. Merrimack was a Union ship, a hybrid frigate, or schooner, I think, burned to the waterline, rebuilt as an ironclad. CSS Virginia. It took, what, an hour or so to turn the sucker around? I'm serious.
Yeah.
And Monitor was actually an iron ship. Not an awful lot more maneuverable, but with a freeboard of about like that. And that ended when those two met each other, that ended the wooden ship completely right there. They sat there, what, from here to the wall over there, blazing away at each other, and all they did dent the armor. And deafen the poor guys in the turret.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, John. That was a fabulous show. Thank you very much for your effort and presenting a really interesting presentation, and we really appreciate it, and we're pleased to know you. Thank you. Thanks for joining up. I had.
If you are interested in more information on the club, please see the link at the bottom of the page.